This is DC, powered by people and ideas, where the community comes together, voices are heard, and decisions are shaped.
So I want to start by saying, welcome home.
Connecting you to what matters and to each other.
How you doing? You know, what's the tea?
I'm Lorenzo Hall, and this is the DC Beat. And welcome to the DC Beat. Good to see you. I'm Lorenzo Hall. I want to update you on a big case I have been watching. There's a good chance you have seen it by now. It shows a DC man, Jamari Jackson, being stopped by on Kansas Avenue in Northwest. Jackson says he just finished playing baseball on the evening of April 19th when this happened. Take a listen.
Am I being detained?
Yes.
For what?
I'm telling you. Come here.
For what?
Come here. I'll talk to you. Come here.
Why are you grabbing?
Just talk to me.
Why are you grabbing?
Because you're being stopped. He's okay. He's okay.
For
He's
what?
okay.
For what?
You're being stopped. I'm going to talk to
For
you.
what?
Okay, listen, sir, I'm going to talk to you. Just
what?
calm down because I don't want to keep doing this. Just stop.
What am I being detained for?
All right? I'm going to tell you why.
Can you tell me right now?
Yes. Just stop right now. You keep trying to pull. All right? You going to stop? My man. When we came up, all right, as soon as you saw us, you looked back twice, correct? You also moved your backpack, in the, your little satchel area in the back of you, okay? So what I was going to do is pat you down for a possible weapon, okay? So with that being said, we're going to take a stop report. Sir, come here. You can't move. Stay right here, okay?
What am I being detained for?
I already told you. We already went over that.
Suspicion of a weapon.
Yes. There you go. So you don't need to move no more. You're being stopped at this point. You asked me if you're being detained. You are detained. Yes. Okay? So this is what we're also going to do. We're going to take a stop report for numbers, okay? You have an ID on you?
No.
You have no ID?
No.
Okay. You gonna give me your name, information?
No.
So we put a report for the report?
No.
So you don't want to give no information?
No.
Okay. We'll take it down at 4400. You're gonna be John Doe, okay? Just to let you know, sir, we're gonna take a report saying why we stopped you, okay? Do you understand the words that I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Copy this. You're free to go now, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey. Hey, it happens every day, man.
All right, so again, this took place a little more than 2 weeks ago. So what happened before Jackson hit record? What happened after he stopped recording? Jamari Jackson is my guest tonight and sitting down for his first television interview. Take me back to the beginning. We have obviously seen what occurred in this video. So tell us what was happening before you started rolling.
3 cars started passing by down the one way, and I noticed that they were unmarked cars, and it was 3 of them. 2 unmarked squad cars, 1 official squad car. Mm-hmm. And I know cars, so I noticed them, and then just walked past. They went past, I went past. And then before I knew it, they were rolling back up beside me and trailing me for about a minute or so, 30 seconds.
As you're walking?
As I'm walking, as I'm walking back. And I noticed that they're trailing me, stalking me, so I look behind me, and then I keep walking, and I noticed they're still following me, and then I diverted the path that I was on, you know. And so after that, luckily I had my phone in my hand, and I usually don't. And this doesn't seem like a significant part of the story, but it is. As the recording shows, he thought it was a weapon in my bag. So had I not had my phone in my hand and knowing just how to deal with the police, I wouldn't have wanted to go into my backpack to get my phone to record. So I had my phone in my hand, and then that's when they jumped out on me and the video plays.
What are you thinking as those officers? You mentioned 3 cars. How many officers did you get a chance to count?
7.
So 7 officers are heading in your direction. What are you thinking in that moment?
What now?
What now?
What now? You know, in all these situations with law enforcement, you think about, man, what was I doing? You know, or did I hit that blinker? Did I stop at that stop sign? You know, those type of things. Dang, did I miss that yellow light? I might have not, but in this situation, I'm walking.
And making eye contact, it sounds like, with the officers.
Exactly. Walking, making eye contact. You know, you're thinking to yourself, what could I have done differently to prevent this? I'm asking those questions because I'm thinking, what could I have done differently to prevent this? You know, and there's not much you can do.
They mentioned a shifting bag. Was that part of it? Like, what's that?
They mentioned it, yes. They mentioned a shifting bag, and that happened when they were stalking me, approaching me, and I was getting my things ready to record. That's essentially what I was doing. So, natural motions, no sudden movements, no reaching into my pants, no, you know, my waistband or anything like that. So, just all natural movements, eye contact, walking.
Even the fact that you have to think about all of that, and you clearly knew how to handle this situation, what does that say? I mean, what does it mean for you? How does that make you feel, the fact that you had to think, let me not put my hands in my pocket, all these specific motions, eye contact, like you're laying it all out. There's a formula here. I mean, how does that resonate with you?
It lets me know that we still aren't free. It lets me know that we still are seen as this type of person. If you look like me, if you're from where I'm from, it lets me know that we're still labeled as this type of person. We're a candidate for suspicion.
How did you say to yourself, I'm going to remain calm? Yeah. You, in that moment, said you weren't doing anything, you didn't do anything wrong, so these officers come and approach you. It's easy to get, you know, to go off on them.
Exactly.
But you kept it cool.
Yeah. Knowing that if I know my rights and I know that I wasn't doing anything wrong, I should be able to exercise my rights and then also just, like I said, handle it accordingly, and really know that if I'm able to do what I'm supposed to do, then everything else doesn't matter. You know, whatever else happens, happens. I'm protected by God, and I'm also, you know, just thinking about the situation, like, worst case scenario, God forbid, if it happens, it happens.
What does that mean, if it happens, it happens?
If I'm to be assaulted or worse, gunned down. Yeah.
I feel like it gets you emotional a little bit, yeah?
It gets me emotional. It does. It gets me emotional just because, and my smile is not out of, you know, immaturity or lie of the situation. It's just the fact that we're still dealing with this, you know. That.
Yeah. What do you feel when you talk about the gravity of the situation? Obviously, you know how it ended. When you sit with it, what are you thinking? When you sit with yourself and you're looking back on what you just experienced?
I'm just so blessed and grateful that I was able to make it out alive in that situation. You know, I reflect back and I really reflect in thinking like, wow, I'm so grateful that I was able to handle the situation that well, because other people were fearing for their lives. You know, had I been in that fight or flight mentality, it could have went another way. Had I not had my phone in my hand, it could have went another way. You know, had it been 2 hours later, 7:30 p.m., 9:30 p.m. at night, could have gone a different way. I sit with those things. I sit with those things, and I reflect. And people were saying I was traumatized by this. People were saying that I'm so glad that you made it out alive. I'm like, wow. People thought I was going to die. People thought I was going to die. And not only that, it was the simplicity of it all. Like, wow, walking, looking at 3 cars stalking me, and I'm seen as suspicious. Okay, got you.
What do you want people to take away from the video?
This is how, this is how we have to live life. And I want everyone to know that, this is something that we can learn from. This is something that we can learn from. This is something that we can, the way I handled it, but also the way that, I was treated, the way I was assaulted, the way that I was seen as suspicious. And just blatantly, just how you can be doing something that is harmless and still be seen as a threat.
So are you talking to people now and telling them just about your experience and how to approach the situation, how to deal with, obviously, federal agents, DC police officers? What is your mission like now? What purpose do you want this to serve?
Before we get to the rights and stuff like that, let's make sure that we are good with ourselves and we're not projecting or lashing out and putting ourselves in a compromised position, So people don't know me, but I don't like to focus on the negative. I really like to focus on the positive and what you can learn from it. So I really don't like talking about this situation just because it brings up all the trauma, all that. And that's the nature of the situation. So I'm grateful that I'm able to share this story, and that's just the nature of the story is going to come back up. So it is what it is. Looking past that, let's focus on the things we can do to better ourselves. And when we better ourselves, that's when we will handle everything in the right way. Be great with ourselves, and the world will reflect that back.
Now, Jackson is taking steps to hold DC police accountable. I also reached out to the DC Police Department, and a spokesperson says this incident is being investigated by the Office of Police Complaints. We'll keep you updated. All right, so the race for DC mayor is heating up. Next, candidate Gary Goodweather joins me at the table with his vision for the city. People are sounding off about the big changes at the D.C. Police Department this week. Interim D.C. Police Chief Jeffrey Carroll said 13 officers could be fired. Right now, they're on leave. They're accused of manipulating crime data. So last year, 2 federal reports accused MPD of downgrading crimes to paint a safer picture of the district. Former MPD Chief Pam Smith abruptly stepped down late last year. You remember that after leaders on Capitol Hill accused her of pressuring commanders to produce lower crime numbers. Also, President Trump showed off new renderings of this summer's UFC Freedom 250 fight in front of the White House. This is going to be a first. The White House expects nearly 100,000 people to attend as part of the weeks-long celebration of 250 years of America's independence. The event will take place on June 14th, Flag Day, also President Trump's 80th birthday. All right, so we are counting down. We are less than 6 weeks away from primary election day in D.C., June 16th, and early voting begins in less than 5 weeks. As we get closer, we know the race for mayor is really heating up. 7 candidates are on the ballot, and before you cast your vote, I really want you to get to know all of them so you can make an informed decision. Joining me tonight is candidate Gary Goodweather, who has called D.C. home for more than 20 years. Gary, finally got you at the table. It's good to see you.
It is great to be here.
All right, so we know you jumped into this race for mayor. It feels like eons ago, early last year.
Yes.
So folks who are just becoming familiar with you, your name, why this? Why this run for mayor?
I've spent 30 years of my life here in DC and recognized that we had not elected leaders that were particularly intellectually curious, that had any real expertise, especially in the mayor's job, to be able to run our city. And I've spent my life here, and DC's government really is not supporting its residents. DC makes it very hard to do business here, and in a lot of ways, just to live here. When I realized that I have the expertise, the skills, and the passion to be able to make a change, to be able to do something for our city, then I decided that is what I want to do. I always feel like it's an obligation, that these are government jobs. They are service jobs, and that is what I believe in. I believe in service. Our city is failing its residents in so many ways, and I know that I can make a difference. I know that I can change all that.
So let's narrow this down a bit. You talk about the city not being able to serve its residents. What was the one issue that, went off for you, where that was sort of the lightning rod to say, you know what, I need to jump in the race to change this?
The rats.
The rats?
No, well, actually,
the rats did it for you.
Well, it's sort of, it's not necessarily one issue.
Okay.
It is a lifetime of experience being here in the city, starting businesses in the city, hiring people, and just seeing that basic services aren't working. That whether it's trash collection or the rats, that the DC government really isn't functioning in a way that is supporting its residents, that it's lifting DC residents up. DC really and it is effectively in every part of DC government. It is about penalizing DC residents and DC businesses rather than supporting them.
Interesting.
This is DC, and as a business owner, it is about, it's not, DC doesn't give me the tools to succeed. It doesn't give business owners the tools to succeed. It sets requirements that are made by politicians that have no idea what the implications of those requirements, and then penalizes residents and businesses when they can't meet it. That is not a recipe for success for our city. And now our city's on a path that's unsustainable. We have our budget, our spending has gone up almost 70% in about 7 years. Our economy is down 8.5%, and our literacy rates continue to, we've made some gains, but continue to be some of the lowest in the country, and our long-term outcomes for DC residents continue to decline.
What do you change then? And when you reference the economy there, we know that the federal government has played a big role in that. Just the overall economy right now, that's what a lot of people are really feeling the squeeze. So how do you manage that? How do you change and bring in that revenue, bring in more revenue?
Yeah, I mean, number one is that DC is anti-business. And one of the things that I want to make sure that I get across is that we are going to make DC open for business. We need to stop being no and stop being yes.
What does that mean?
One of the first things that I'm going to do is completely overhaul the Department of Buildings and the Department of Professional Licensing and Compliance. It is too costly. DC in and of itself makes it costly to do business, and it takes too long. So I'm going to completely overhaul the Department of Buildings. So then I am creating a single point of contact within DC government, whose sole responsibility when an application comes in to ensure almost like a concierge for a business. Bring in an application, to get a business started, it's that individual's responsibility to ensure that when from the time that put in the application all the way to approval, that business owner has all the resources they need to be able to navigate DC to be able to get that approval. Because right now, it just takes forever. It really goes into a void when you're trying to start a business.
Yeah. So we know that you're in real estate development. A lot of your opponents are talking about, these really ambitious housing plans over the next 5 years or so. So what is your plan in that regard? Because that's what a lot of folks are struggling with right now, especially when it comes to affording a home in the district.
Yeah, I mean, number one is I am committed to creating 52,000 multi-generational homes that can accommodate an individual, can accommodate a family throughout their entire life cycle, throughout their entire lifespan. And the way that we do it, I'll say part of it, it's hard to get good data on it, but about 10 to 20% of our existing housing stock is vacant, because DC has these requirements that really don't allow homeowners or apartment owners to be able to even rent it. So the most effective way or the quickest way for us to be able to get more housing is to use that part of the housing stock that we already have and make it leasable. Number two is that, as mentioned, we're going to completely revamp Department of Buildings and the permitting approval process so that we can build faster. We need to speed to market. We need to be able to build faster.
And you think the market is ready for that?
It's absolutely. There's this myth that you can't build and be able to sustain communities, sustain residents that are in their homes and in their communities now. It's just not true. It's about how you do it. And I'll say this is again where I say DC in and of itself makes our city less affordable. Our real estate tax assessments continue to go up, and DC is the one that determines the real estate tax assessments. That is causing both DC homeowners, and that makes them more expensive for DC homeowners and for DC renters as well, because that ultimately gets passed through to renters as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about public safety now. You saw in the news that at least 13 DC police officers are on administrative leave right now, facing possible termination because of this whole manipulation of crime stats. They're accused of taking part in that. So obviously there's going to be a big job for the city's next mayor when it comes to building morale in the police department, but also regaining the public's trust. What does that look like in a Goodweather administration?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, is that in terms of the officers that are going to be let go and rebuilding trust, our Metropolitan Police Department is understaffed. We need to hire more police officers. We're going to recruit from our city. We really don't recruit from our city, but it is also important that our police officers can afford to live in our cities, in our communities. To be able to rebuild trust, we need our police officers to be able to raise their kids in the city. I want our police officers to raise their kids with mine as well. That having that invested relationship with the community helps rebuild trust. Accountability, though, the next chief of police, I am ultimately responsible. I was a former Army captain in the United States Army, and I was responsible for everything that my people do and do not do. The next chief of police, they will be a subject matter expert and mission driven. The mission being to serve and protect DC residents. If they are not, then that is not the right role for them. Ultimately, accountability comes up to me. But having DC police officers as members of the community creates a safer city.
I want to touch on education really quickly, because I feel like that's a component that has been missing in this conversation about the city's future.
Yeah.
And one thing that really strikes me is when we talk about this chronic absenteeism right now in DC public schools. So many kids are just missing so many days of school.
Yes.
And the district is still trying to figure out why and how to get those students back into the classroom. How do you make that happen? How do you get kids to stay in school and be interested in school?
I think that was a good comment. Stay interested in school. So we are going to hire more social workers, more mental health professionals, more special educators, so that kids have a reason to go to school. And we're going to address the underlying problems of a lot of the truancy and crime. Yeah. Especially amongst our youth, and that is addressing poverty and addressing mental health. And I want to say that when I say that we're going to hire mental health professionals, I really want to stress that, because mental health is health. And being able to provide the resources to our youth through social workers and through mental health professionals is incredibly important, because that is what engages the youth and identifies problems and provides a community that shows our youth that they're cared for, and that there is a reason the kids need to be told to go to school and have a reason to stay in school. And that is what this community of social workers and professionals is going to do.
Yeah. All right. So finally, Gary, we have less than a minute left. I know.
This
I told you.
flies by.
It goes by
I have so much more to say.
There's going to be so much time later on. But first,
Okay.
I want to talk to you about ranked choice voting. Obviously, this is the first time D.C. voters are going to be using that in this election cycle.
Yes.
Did that play a role in you deciding to jump into the race? How do you think you're going to benefit with this new process?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to win. Right, not because of ranked choice voting, but it definitely helps. I will win because of ranked choice voting. But no, actually, when I jumped in the race 15 months ago, and I actually started studying this campaign almost 3 years ago, we did not know that ranked choice voting was going to get implemented. And actually, one of my opponents voted against it. So it will absolutely benefit us. I encourage every DC resident to vote. I am asking for your first choice. I'm asking for every DC resident's first choice vote. Regardless, I am running to serve our city. I'm running to serve every DC resident, and regardless of how you vote for me, I will serve you.
Gary Goodweather, appreciate it. Thanks for coming
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, and on that note, that does it for us here on the DC Beat this week. And I do want to emphasize again, this is a moment for our city. We have one of the most consequential elections in DC history. We know President Trump and Congress are really tightening their grip on DC, and so many of our neighbors are fighting to stay safe, healthy, and afloat financially. But there's hope too, and that's why this table matters. Everybody has a seat at this table right here. So thank you for giving me some of your time, and I will see you right back here next Wednesday night.